Hi, welcome to Clutter Bravado.
Yes, and it's the energy. It's not just about the stuff.
So we should probably just get into it, right?
Let's go.
Hi,
Good morning.
how are you?
I'm very well.
Yeah?
Yes.
Good. Honestly, you look a lot more rested today than I would expect you to look after the weekend that you've had.
Well, so I think I was running a little bit on fumes. So Friday night we had an amazing event,
Yes.
which we'll post photos of. You can talk about it. And then Saturday I went and supported Save Iconic Architecture. They had
Yeah.
a Christmas pop-up, which was amazing. And then I actually went to another event in the evening where some young people had come up with a band, and it was just the perfect LA moment. It was really great.
Yeah.
And then I did have to clean a little bit on Sunday.
And then you had to clean. I want to actually, so the holiday party on
Yeah,
Friday.
let's talk about that.
It was amazing. Number one, there were a lot more people there than we expected to be there, right? Which made it so fun to have the entire showroom fully open and having people flowing through from like room to room, hanging out in each of the areas. It was so neat. There were so many people. There was such a fun vibe that was happening, and there were drinks flowing and food. You had food flowing out constantly the entire night, and I was eating all of it. And it was so good. But I actually have a photo. I'm not going to put it into the video, but I will add it to some of our photos from the party, what the kitchen looked like afterward. There was more glassware than I think I've ever seen at one time. You have this place stocked up like an actual like bar or restaurant. You have so many.
We did, yeah. Well, the parties, I mean, the holiday party is something that we started with Kimberly, like, I don't remember, probably 6 years ago, 7. And it's been growing and it's fun. It's like one of the fun events that we do. And so this year it was packed. It was fun. I ended up being in the kitchen more than I thought I would be, but that was okay.
Yeah, it kind of felt like there wasn't really, I mean, you were obviously hosting the party, but it didn't really feel like there was like a host of the party. It
No,
was just
it's
everyone getting together. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. And yeah, there were some things around the showroom that you had sort of changed and moved around, and not necessarily like redecorated, but a few things that were reorganized and new pieces brought in.
We did that together. That was fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was really fun. It needed the office we did together, and that was great.
Yeah.
And then you actually came up with the idea of that big room with that change of angling. It was great. I mean, I think it looks good. And then having also the new pieces from Avenida Atelier,
Yes.
that I think brought a little bit of, I don't know, a younger vibe or a different vibe. And then Ravier's art on the walls.
Yes.
I really like, and Justin's lamp I don't know, there are a lot of moments that we created between a few new pieces that we brought in, the new pieces from Avenida Atelier.
Yeah.
So the mirrors are fantastic.
Oh, yeah, Amanda Richards.
Yeah.
Her mirrors in the entryway and also like in the bar area, they're really beautiful. We will be showing photos of that for sure.
Yeah.
On the Instagram and
Justin's lamp is cool.
yes, it's so cool.
Yeah.
It's really neat. Like it's sort of like a terracotta moment. It adds a lot of warmth to that area too.
And then Laurent Suchel Laurent Suchel's table looks great.
Yes.
You placed it. It's beautiful. So all that was fantastic.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, to have so many incredible creators and artists that are represented like through Avenida Atelier and then that you get to have here in the showroom, it adds a lot of flair to the space. And it was also something that was really, like everything flows really seamlessly together. It doesn't feel like it breaks up the flow of the room.
No, for sure.
So that was really cool. And also we just like had the best people here. Like all of the incredible designers and artists and everyone in the network, everyone in the community was here. It was just so fun. I had such a good time. And I got to wear a new Legence dress.
No.
Okay. This dress, like, it was so beautiful. And I'm wearing a sweater dress today, but like I was inspired by the other sweater dress in order to wear this one that I've had for ages. It's been sitting in the back of my closet that I like never wear. It's this gorgeous dress with shoulder pads, and it's like very fitted, very covered. So like, you know, long sleeves, turtleneck all the way, you know, down to my knee or whatever. But I just felt so fabulous in it. I felt so fabulous, like such a diva. It was really lovely.
You looked fabulous, by the way.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I appreciate that. You did as well, except I didn't see you very much because you're mostly in the kitchen and running around not necessarily putting out actual fires, but like, you know, little things that popped up throughout the party that you're like taking care of. Seeing everyone for like 5 seconds to say, you know, the French hello, and then off to go serve.
Yeah. I mean, it's my love language.
Yes.
It's food.
It is, isn't it? I like that. It's a very charming thing about you, actually.
It was. I can't explain it. It really is. Mm-hmm. You know, when I see people eating and having fun and being together, and it does bring me a lot of pleasure and a lot of happiness for sure.
Yeah. And there are a lot of people in your life that are very grateful for that. I'll say that I'm one of them. I do appreciate that anytime that I'm hungry, I get to eat.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Just like, no. Can I get you something? Like, yes. The answer is usually yes. I appreciate it. Okay. What else do we have going on?
Well, Avenida Atelier, we still have.
Yes.
So remember that whoever's listening or watching, we have the giveaway.
Yes, the giveaway that's happening. So, the post is up. The one that needs to be shared. So just follow us, follow all of the artists, and just share that post. And you'll be entered to win. All of the pieces are really nice. Like this is not just like a little giveaway of something that's cheap that was just laying around. Like these are really beautiful pieces. Yeah. Like one of Justin's sconces. That's insane.
And the lamp.
Oh, and Amanda's lamp.
Oh, the table from Jig Magni.
It's so heavy.
It's really cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah. So it's a good giveaway. I mean,
there's a lot
of really good pieces. So
really nice stuff. Yeah.
So
definitely enter. There's a really good chance that you'll win too. And like, while I am competing, also, I'm trying to win something. Are you kidding?
Of course you should.
Of course, I want any of those pieces. But there are 6 chances to win. So, you know, it could be any one of you out there. So just enter, follow us, enter, share the thing.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
I think it's going to be, I mean, lots of events.
Yes.
You know, holiday events this week. Our friend Stephen Jones at Stock Studio is having an event on Thursday. I think that there's an event at Ex Nihilo on Thursday as well.
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot in the next 2 weeks of Christmas events. So we'll get to see people we really like, and that will be fun.
Some fun holiday parties.
I'm going to a really fun cookie party on Sunday afternoon.
Oh.
I know.
That sounds so fun.
It's going to be fun. So yeah.
A cookie party?
A cookie party. I've never been to a cookie party.
I mean, I don't think I've ever been to a cookie party either.
Well, it's gonna be fun. And
you have to tell me how it goes.
I will.
Well, we should probably get to our guest for today. So we are deeply into our episodes that we shot in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And today we have Tineke Triggs. So I didn't know anything about Tineke until we got nearly up to San Francisco, and you're like, you need to see her book. And so I read her book. And this wasn't just one of those like paging through and looking. Like I really read her book, and I'm like, I need to get to know her. I want to be her best friend. And getting to sit down with her was amazing. She's so inspirational. She's so creative. I love the way her brain works and the way that she really sort of tells a story with color and the way she uses materials to really connect with a deeper understanding of a space and like how someone's going to live there. I thought it was really inspirational and aspirational.
I love the way she talks about her work.
Yeah.
And it's very specific, but I really love it. And it's someone that, sorry, I forgot to turn off my phone.
Come on.
It's, she's really an amazing designer. She's a huge supporter of the community up there. And, you know, she's always down in Southern California when there are events. So she's a big supporter of the industry as a whole. You know, I'm excited to hear the podcast and I'm excited to have her again because I think that she's one of those people. I mean, look, I'm biased. Most of all the interviews that we've had are really incredible designers, and you know, I think that we can delve further with them. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, I hope that she does end up coming down here soon so we can hang out. She's also very cool.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, let's get to it. Yeah.
Let's go.
Welcome to Clutter Bravado. Today we are here in San Francisco with Tineke Triggs.
Hi, thanks.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
How was getting here today?
Easy. It was quiet on the roads. I think everybody's out there voting and staying away from their cars and the clutter. So
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I have learned a little bit about you from Laurent. He's told me a little bit about you, especially he gave me your book, Design Mixology. And I loved looking through this. The thing that stands out to me the most about your work is that you are fearless.
Thank you.
You have a lot of... there are a lot of things that you want to say with what you're designing and with what you're creating, and I feel like it translates beautifully in your work from just what I've seen. So I'm trying not to. But I want to talk about some of the work that you've been able to do through the design show house and showcase house. When you're doing those, you kind of have the ability to tell whatever story you want to tell and make something that is purely you. So how would you describe the last couple of years, what your process in putting that story together looks like?
So, you know, what I love about Showcase is there's a couple of things. One is the camaraderie that we get from doing it, the other designers, the other creatives that we get to be involved with. And I remember the very first time I went through a showcase. It's there's a lot of such amazing creativity that's coming out of so many different people, and it just elevates your own enthusiasm for the career. And I'm so passionate about what I do. I went into this completely unconventionally, and so for me to do something that it just gives me so much freedom. Showcases are really about just that, showcasing your work. But for me, I want to have a persona about it. So I remember one year I did a little girl's room, and it was a girl's room and a bathroom. And instead of being a little girl's room, just a generic theme, I imagined it being my room as a little girl with the financial means that I did not have.
Oh, I love that.
I painted the picture of what I would be like in that space. So of course it had tons of color. I had the freedom to paint on the ceiling. So we splatter painted all over the ceiling because I just wanted to have this really crazy dimensional freedom to the ceiling.
Yeah.
And instead of a desk, I made it an artist desk. So
oh, perfect.
I put clipboards up with sketches and things that I'd done, and the desk itself was dripping paint. So we had created this space of like, if this was my little girl's room. Because growing up, I we traveled a lot until I was in third grade, and I was kind of moving around from schools to schools, and I didn't do well in school. I was extremely dyslexic, but they didn't know it. So I was the kid sat in the corner all the time with the dunce hat kind of thing, because I would not learn conventionally, and I would ask questions, and I would disrupt the class because I would get behind because I couldn't read, and so drawing and painting was always my escape.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I dreamed up that room. And then the next year, I decided it was the year David Bowie had passed away.
Oh, yeah.
And David, it was born the same day as my son, my oldest son. So, and I love his love story between his wife and him, Aman and he. And so I kind of went down a rabbit hole and researched him a little bit and their love story. And I wanted to create the room to be the persona of, if they had commissioned me to do a room for them, this would be my David Bowie Aman room. So,
I love it.
Oh, wow.
I love that.
So that was the story behind it. So for me, I'm always trying to create a story, right? So even if I have a client or don't have a client, the showcase, it has to have a story for me. And that just, I think, elevates what the meaning of the room is, right?
Yeah.
So that's part of the creativity, right? It's dreaming up what the space is and making it turn into a story.
Yeah.
I have a question. When you have a client, do you do the same thing?
I do.
Uh-huh.
I do. Well, because it's so, I literally just interviewed with a client this week, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get the job, but I literally was talking to her about how passionate I was, and I started to tear up. And I think maybe because I'm getting older and I'm getting more able to feel free about my emotions, and not holding back. I feel like it's really important to, I had a woman tell me one time, my life coach, one of my mentors had said that tears are just love that you can't contain.
Oh, I like that.
And so when I feel like I talk with my soul and my heart, that comes up, it comes bubbling up. And so when I'm working with a client, I'm trying to get to know them in a way that is who they are, and I'm doing their home. And so, how they dress, how they would perceive they'd want to dress, how would I create that in their house? So this family that I met, it's during the Indian New Year right now. And so she had all these incredible dresses all throughout the house. And I'm just like looking at all this incredible tapestries and silks and textures. And I'm like, oh my God, let's have fun with this.
Yeah.
Let's create, your house to feel like this dressing room, And sometimes it's, the clients are much quieter, or it's a second home and it's an escape and they want it to have a completely different refuge or different feeling. So it's for me, I'm just trying to paint that, like what is it that it is that they're trying to get out of this space, and what is it for them? And that's what's fun. It takes time sometimes. It doesn't always click right away. Sometimes I get really excited and almost already know what to do. And sometimes it's like you're sitting at a blank slate for a while and like, what am I going to paint on this,
Yeah, I'm the exact same way when it comes to emotions. I'm someone who tears up all the time, and I wear my emotions on my sleeve. What's your sign?
I'm a Leo, but I'm the first day of Leo, so I'm a super sensitive Leo.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
So it's all about me. It's all about me, but don't hurt my feelings.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I got a lot of Cancer in me for sure.
I'm a Libra Sun, Cancer Moon, Gemini Rising. Yeah. I'm someone who emotes publicly.
Nothing wrong with that.
We definitely have that in common, and I think that that's something that I personally would look for in working with a designer, as someone who's able to be in touch with the emotional effect that a space will have on you, and how that space creates a container for you to have these emotions in your home and for you to have the stories and have the experiences that you have there. I think that's really, really valuable.
Yeah.
And so with your clients, have you noticed that a lot of them come to you because of your ability as a storyteller when it comes to interiors?
I think they first look at like my portfolio and they're like, oh, you love color or you love texture and all that. And then I think after talking to me, then they realize that it is what I do, is that, the reason the book's called Mixologist is because I'm not just a designer, I'm a mixologist. I'm mixing things up and creating concoctions that create their home.
Yeah. One thing that I've noticed through looking at your book and some of your other work is that there are so many things in your space that looking at a photo of it, I want to touch it. I want to be in that space. I want to sit in that chair. I want to touch that fabric. So tell me about your tactile experience working with some of the fabrics and with some of the furnishings that you choose.
Well, I look at the architecture of the home, you know, and try to play off how the history of the house and what the home feels like before and the story it has. And then I figure out how the furniture really plays in. And it's there's, you know, you have to know your scale. You have to pay attention to making sure things get in the door, the practicality of it all. But it's also, I like to layer. So I think with dressing, I like to layer in, you know, obviously jewelry. I like to layer in texture. I like to layer in pattern. And I don't like to overdo it. I'm not a person that likes everything to perfectly match. So I like to layer and edit after I've kind of played things in space. I'm not a minimalist, but I'm also not a pure maximalist either. And so I will catch myself editing things out once I start kind of dancing through there. So the furniture also comes into play because the furniture should feel like a piece of art to me. And I think that I'm really drawn to unique pieces, even if it's traditional. And I want a couple of those things to stand out. So where I find certain manufacturers that names will not be mentioned, I feel that their pieces are very soulless.
Okay.
And when you walk into their showrooms, there's nothing that draws you in. And we're talking a lot about that right now, about the science in design and your nervous system and how you get stimulated by your environment. And I just feel like when you're picking pieces of furniture and getting excited about it, it's like you're actually affecting your body at the same time. So when I'm I like, we always joke, like, one of my designers and I am like, when I get leather, I'm always smelling it. And if I get a piece of fabric, I'm always putting it against my face. It's like so tactile. So that's all of that. I don't know if I answered it completely, but I'm doing all that. I'm very tactile and playing with when I'm picking out fabric and furniture and pieces, and then comfort, of course. Everybody says it, and common thread within my work is comfort. And so even if a piece can look very architecturally sculptured, it still needs to be comfortable.
That's something that I find to be really, really important. I'm also someone though who like rubs my face against them. Like there's something about like being here. Like if I'm gonna be in my home, I'm gonna be laying down on something, or I want like a pillow or a fabric. I like want to know how it feels.
I'd like make everything in alpaca if I could.
Right. Well, it's funny because Kimberly is the same. I mean, same way. It's just so tactile. And, and so the showroom in LA, and it's just like, it's great when people come in and they can't stop touching. You know, because they have that need of just feeling it. And I think that's you know, the same way for you. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I mean, I was drawn to Kimberly's work right away because one is she always has little jewelry. There's always an interesting element of you know, if it's a tufting or an arm, a bent arm, or, you know, a little piece of metal, you know, there's always something interesting to look at her pieces. But also they're all so comfortable.
That's one thing for us is it has got to be comfortable.
100%.
And that's, I mean, we live with the pieces for quite some time before we release them because, I don't understand. I mean, I understand the beauty, but when it's a chair, for me, I'm down to earth. We need to sit in it and be able to enjoy sitting in it.
Well, and I think that's one of the reasons why I go to High Point, North Carolina every year is, you know, when you go to mass-produced manufacturers, there's some benefits and financial means and reasons for doing that. And I do pepper those into projects, but I have to sit in them.
Right.
And, you know, you'll see how often people get pitches wrong, like a pitch of a seat. It's amazing.
Yeah,
like
you're also a tall lady like me.
Yes, and but even short people, like, you know, like we did an influencers thing this last week, and so I was part of a group of 12 people that walked through High Point through the sponsors, and I'm with a gal who's 4'11".
Oh, wow.
So me and her were walking around sitting in things together, and we were drawn to the same aesthetic, but it was pretty funny how different we sit in things. And so it was pretty funny because she'd be feet dangling and I'd be like, and then she'd find something her feet would fit perfectly, and I'd be like, my knees were in my face. It's pretty funny. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I'm actually designing a sofa for a man who has a very long torso, and I had to tweak. The designer came to me and said, "Look, we have to tweak it because for him, it was like he can't sit in a regular, piece of furniture, and he's got so we're custom making it for him for someone who is 5'11" or 6 foot, but has a long torso."
Yeah, it's funny because my husband is the
that.
opposite. He's got long legs, but he's 2 inches, 3 inches taller than me. But when we sit in a chair together, he's shorter than me because his torso is not so. It's so weird. Yeah. He's like, I always feel like a little kid sitting next to you.
But it's fun to be able to work like that. It's the first time I'm really like tailoring a piece of furniture for someone.
It's
like
so
I would
cool.
do a suit.
Yeah, I really like that idea, and that's something that I haven't really considered. That like having furniture really tailored to how you sit in it and what you're.
Well, I think that's what custom furniture is all about, right?
Truly.
And that's what's really fun is because you either have an idea of something or you have a creation and it's not always available, so you have to create it. So I'm always doing that. I think that's so fun. I wish I could do that more with lighting. I'm like always trying to come up with an idea for lighting, maybe one day.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like for every project that you've done, there's been a very clear difference of what story you're telling, who you're working with, or what you want to convey with it. So do you have a project that you're currently working on or that's sort of coming up? And how is that different from the previous one that you've done?
So we just finished a bunch of projects, one in Santa Barbara, and then we're kind of at the tail end of another one in Santa Barbara, and they're both very, very different. One is a large Spanish, colonial home, but modern. So all the furnishings is quite modern, and everything is very tonal, but a lot of texture, and it's very quiet. It's their second home, but it's an entertainment space. So I wanted. And it's a big home, so you have to really kind of absorb the space. Tall ceilings, and you need to make sure that that the furniture can hold its weight in such a large space, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
And so we did like really large light fixtures, and we would play with textural elements to kind of draw your eye up and contain. And then we did lots of different seating elements. So there's not just one seating environment in the space. So I kind of had to adjust my thinking because I'm used to doing San Francisco a lot in smaller places that, this is a grand room that has multiple seatings, but you still want them to have conversation with each other. So that was something to think about. And then we also had to think about the fact that it's such an entertaining house. So all the fabrics need to be really durable.
Yeah, that's true.
And then she's also a client that loves softness, so we also had to play with that. So that was really fun. And then the other one in Santa Barbara that I'm working on right now is a Tudor, and I traditionally don't like Tudors from a interior standpoint.
Okay.
I like the exterior concept of a Tudor, but the inside gets a little craftsman for me.
Okay.
And so what we ended up doing is taking that craftsman and reinventing it a little bit. So using the traditional Tudor archways and introducing those in a more modern sense into the house, and then doing that sometimes with some of the furnishing pieces, and then playing a little bit about the fact that it is in Santa Barbara. So I've got these beautiful Fisher Wiseman light fixtures in the living room that are very textural and dark woven, and so those actually add a nice texture to the space. And then we did a lot of wallpaper too. So there's a lot of fun with that traditional and a lot of color. So I'm excited about that because that's wrapping up, and we'll be moving in there hopefully in December.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So for your own home.
Yeah. I'm worried about Jad.
What are some things that you cannot go without in your own home?
Oh, I cannot go without art, my animals, and my family. So they take precedent. My walls are filled with art. So my husband always jokes. He's like, is there any room that any walls that doesn't have art in it? I'm like, no. And I can't always afford large pieces of art, so I have lots of small collages everywhere. And I have, when you walk in my stairway of my house, it's quite small. I live in a condo here in the city. I love to collect different artists that I'm drawn to, and they're small pieces. And so the story just kind of gets bigger and bigger and keeps going up the stairs of all the new pieces that I get.
How do you choose your art? Do you have to know the artist?
No, but it does help. I like to hear the story of the artist. Sometimes it's just I'm drawn to it, but I do like to know the story or research it a little bit about the artist. Well, the funny thing that the art that's in the stairway is so many different artists, including my own art, and my son has painted a piece in there, so that you just pepper them all in. And one's a client who's actually extremely talented but doesn't paint for herself now. I wish she would, but she just did a little teeny piece for me. And then some are like textural ethnic pieces, because I'm very drawn to ethnic pieces, and I love horses. I love things from Africa. I love Thailand, so places I've traveled. So there's a lot of that. And then there's iconic. I have a tiny Warhol, and it's a plate. It's a reproduction plate. Oh. And I have a Louise Nevelson piece. So I definitely have different layers.
Right.
Yeah. In there. But so, and then when it goes to the rest of the house, the furnishings, we have some antiques from my husband's family, like 18th century. And then we have pieces that I got from Indonesia and Africa. And then we have pieces that are more modern and probably, maybe a little tired, but I still have my Eric Brand chairs that they have this beautiful wood sculpture and a Romo stripe, 3 pinstriped on them, and they're getting worn down, and I just love the fabric's discontinued, so I'm like, I don't want to reupholster yet. But the rest of the house is pretty lived in. I mean, I do have animals, and they do run the house. We have a cat that's destroyed my bedroom. A dog that is getting older, and I love her, and so they kind of rule the roost, and a family that's probably more about living than they are about showing. So my house is probably not going to make it in AD anytime soon, but I like it.
But I feel that there's, like, that's the point of living in a home, you know, the difference between sort of like a gallery and a home that you really get to experience and live in. There's so much value to both of those, where one of them gets to be your art piece and the other sort of gets to be your, like, live your life.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to have more of a show house and declutter. I mean, we do have a house in Sonoma that is more that way because it's a second family home. Yeah. But financially, we don't have the means to be able to make it as grand as I'd like it to be. But I like it, and I think it looks good.
I think that they lived in part. It was funny because in LA, I was looking at the rug, and there's a couple stains of wine, on the rug, and I'm like, you know what? It was a good party. Yeah. And it was a fun party, and I remember when the guest, spilled, and he was like, oops, and I'm like, because otherwise I should not be serving red wine, and I should not have parties maybe, and I think that a place, you need to be able to live in it, and then it ages, it gets its little dings, and that's part of it. Yeah.
But I do like my home. When people come over, the dining room is always set. That's one thing and I always have flowers.
I like that. Yeah. I'm also usually an always have flowers person. This was something that I learned how to do, I would say like 8 years ago when I got my first apartment in LA by myself. And I was single, and one of my friends suggested, why don't you start buying yourself flowers once a week? because if that's the treatment that you want from someone else, like why not start doing that for yourself? And for many years, I would, every time that I'd go grocery shopping, I'd buy myself fresh flowers. I'd make little arrangements and put them all throughout my house. And there's something really, really special about that.
I love it. And I have lots of plants too, which is great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, I've been lucky because for the last, well, now 2 years, she's now lives next door and is nannying our new neighbors, which we love. But we had my friend Myra live with us, who used to work at Fiore Flower Store, and now she has her own flower. Oh, wow. We call her the Flower Queen. And so I've been blessed that she does her flowers downstairs in our garden, and so we always end up getting fresh flowers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's gorgeous.
Yeah,
Oh,
it does
like
help.
It does help. Yes, it does help.
But it's great. Yeah.
Do you do flowers yourself? Like, is that?
Oh yeah, I
something?
love.
Yeah.
Well, I worked at a flower store in high school.
Okay.
I can tell you, I've been working since I was 13 years old, and always had 2 jobs of some sort. So I probably, worked it at some point. I worked at a flower store. I worked at Marine World. I, waited tables in Hong Kong.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got a pretty long list of crazy stories. Yeah.
Yeah, I live the exact same way. I've always had at least one job, usually 2.
Yeah.
There's always something that I'm like hustling and doing and learning and trying something new.
Yeah, I've always been a hustler.
You get
for sure.
so much experience that way, and also you learn so many different facets of like an industry that way.
Well, that's another thing that I like to talk about my work is, not that I'm a hustler. I don't think my clients would like to hear that, but I think throughout my experiences of working and having to work to put myself through school and to live, I have a lot of compassion for people, and I think that is a big part of my work. Is when I'm working with my clients and they have a situation where they're, I'm spending their money, I'm in their house, everything's taking longer, there's such a trust there. And then there has to be a compassion on my side to be able to understand them and sit in their shoes, no matter what their financial situation is. You have to be in a place where you understand and empathize with them.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's a thread that's common in my work that I learned through having my jobs and waiting tables and living life largely, and traveling a lot. I learned to be more compassionate. So I think that is important to what I do.
Yeah.
Favorite place to travel?
My favorite place? I think Thailand was my favorite place that I've ever been. And Africa, Kenya. I traveled a month in Kenya and climbed Mount Kenya and did a whole bike trip when I was 29. But my favorite place in the planet is Paris.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, I just love Paris. It's like I keep thinking, okay, well, I'm going to Europe. Next year I've got to go to, I'm going to Spain, which I love, and I've got to go into Amsterdam, or I just got back from Edinburgh, and then I'm like, but I could always pop over to Paris.
You can always pop over to Paris. I understand that.
There's always Paris.
I understand
always
that
Paris.
At a deep level.
There's something about Paris for me.
I completely agree. Both times that I've been to Europe, I've made sure that I'm going to spend at least a week, 2 weeks in Paris. Yeah. It starts off with the idea of a week and usually ends up around 3. But I love it. There's no place in the world like it.
Yeah, there really isn't. There's just no city that is as charming as Paris for me. And it's a city, so it's different than if I was going to the other, the other country that I love so much, and then we spent a lot of time is Mexico. So, and I've done a couple projects down in Cabo now, and I had a really close friend live in Mexico City, and another good friend who lives in San Miguel de Allende. It's just as I started traveling to these places for work, and visiting friends, it was really the people. Paris is the environment and the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Definitely not the French.
Not the Parisians. No, I do like Parisians. They've always been good to me.
Yeah.
But Mexican culture, the people make Mexico. And if you don't know Mexico to that level, you really take some time, because that's what makes Mexico.
Yeah. I haven't been to Mexico.
Oh,
I have to go. I
They're
live in
so-
Los
I mean,
Angeles.
it's
I'm
such
so
a-
close to it. Why haven't I
yeah.
been there yet? But yeah, no, I haven't been.
my second favorite holiday next to Christmas is Day of the Dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Day of the Dead. So I have a great like ofrenda and my whole like a bunch of skeletons and everything all through the house right now.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and
yeah.
I keep that up until Thanksgiving, and then Thanksgiving comes, and then I do Christmas. I refuse to put the tree up before Thanksgiving. I'm one of those people.
We were just talking about this today.
We just saw it.
We just saw someone with their Christmas tree up, and I don't have judgment of anyone else. All I'm saying is there will not be a Christmas tree in my house.
No,
before the
you're not
first-
allowed in my office.
Yeah.
If they start playing Christmas music before Thanksgiving is over, I get really mad.
I think Christmas music is really only appropriate for the 2 weeks before Christmas.
I agree. I agree. I agree.
I think that Christmas music is never appropriate.
Oh come on!
Oh, there's some good ones. Ally McBeal Christmas.
what?
So good.
Really?
Ali McBeal?
Ally
The TV
McBeal
show?
Christmas, the TV show.
No.
They
Get
have
out
a
here.
Christmas album. It is the best.
Who is the singer that
Johnny? What is it? Actor.
Robert Downey Jr.? No.
Robert Downey Jr.
Really?
Yes, thank you. Robert Downey Jr. Sings in it, and he sings a Joni Mitchell song,
No way.
and it is so good.
All right.
I have
It's-
never
It is
considered
good.
that. That's
now,
amazing.
also my second favorite and favorite Christmas movie of all times is
Die Hard. Just kidding.
no. That was really funny.
That one's
no,
mine.
no, my favorite Christmas movie is Love Actually.
I love that movie.
And
There-
we watch it
Okay.
every Christmas.
Same. Since it came out, because I'm dating myself, but I was in high school when it came out, and
Oh, yeah.
yes, it's okay, it's fine.
Yeah. Right.
I was not.
No, it's not
That's fine. But I was in high school when it came out, and my best friend and I would watch that movie for like the days leading up to Christmas so often, because it was just so many beautiful love stories that like now I may or may not. They are
Oh, I
deeply
still love it.
problematic, but
I
at
still
the same
cry.
time,
I've seen it 1,000 times and I still
Same.
cry.
Oh, I love it so much.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Yeah.
It's such a heartwarming, and it gives you the feeling of Christmas. I'm right there with you. Yeah.
It's good. And then the other one is Holiday.
I still haven't seen Holiday.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, I hear so
Cameron
much about
Diaz.
it every year. Yeah.
And Jude Law looks so good.
Yeah. Apparently that was like Jude Law's hottest movie that he ever did.
I'd have to agree. I'd have to agree.
My Christmas tradition, Christmas Eve every year, if I'm in Los Angeles, I go to New Beverly Cinema, and it's a small theater that's like owned by Quentin Tarantino, and every year he puts on Die Hard.
Oh,
at the
nice.
theater.
I love it.
And they do 2 showings of it. I usually show up for the second one. It is so fun. And the entire theater gets into it. People are quoting it the whole time. Like it's such a fun.
It's a cult movie.
Totally.
for sure.
Big cult following movie,
Is
and
it
it's
the
so fun.
Yippee-ki-yay one?
Yeah,
Yippee-ki-yay?
the Yippee-ki-yay one. Yes, Bruce Willis as John McClane. I mean, it's a spectacular movie. I love it so much.
I love that it's a Christmas movie.
It is.
It does.
takes
I
place
mean,
on
it does
Christmas
come up
Eve.
as one of the Christmas movies, but it's pretty funny.
Yeah, there's some references to. I can't really say them on the show because it's a lot of swearing. But yeah. Oh, I love that. Anyway, we got so off track. Where were we?
We did. We were talking about holidays.
Yeah.
When we got to holidays, because we were talking about my
Yes.
favorite things in my
Yeah.
own house, and then
Yes.
somehow we got on holidays. But that's it.
Do you have any travel coming up?
Oh my God, I've traveled so much this year,
Yeah.
and it's been so great.
'Cause you said that you just got back from Edinburgh.
I did. So I'm part of the DLN and
Yeah.
the Design Leadership Network, and I just joined, and it was magical. I had never been to Scotland. I'm half Scottish, and it's where my mom grew up. So that was a very incredible place for me to go. And to do it with the DLN and have that incredibly elevated experience. And the community there is so amazing. So that was another thing. Someone at the restaurant, I told them that I'm half Scottish and my mom's from Edinburgh and that I'd just never been here before. And the waiter, this is at a Michelin star restaurant, he goes, "Well, welcome home." And I burst into tears.
Oh yeah. No, that makes me want to cry.
So I did.
I love
yeah.
that. Yeah.
So I just got back from there. And then High Point, I just got back from that. And then I was in San Miguel for my big birthday this year. And we were in Bordeaux and Madrid. And then, so a lot of travel this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of travel, which has been great. and so inspiring.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea, like with the DLN, they exposed us to a lot of craft people and artisans, and it was some beautiful things I bought. So yeah, I did. I got some really cool things and saw some really cool artisans. You know, small craft work is something that we are starting to appreciate again, I think. I think that the mass-produced things are starting to get quieter, and I think the craft, the art of craft is coming back. I think that has to do with my son's generation of kind of kicking back, of not wanting to be part of a typical 4-year or corporate world, and getting a craft again. I'm starting to see a surge in that, and I'm hoping that we see that, because it's so needed. We need people to know how to do things. And learn how to do a craft again.
Yeah,
right?
If nothing else, surrounding yourself with craftspeople, with other people who feel the same way, sort of that mass-produced, almost culture that we have, or like society that we have, it sort of fades into the background a little bit. And you get
if we don't learn to do a craft again, then those crafts could be threatened.
Lose them. Yeah.
They were talking about the Notre Dame and how they had to train people how to do the plaster work. So they hired a famous sculptor to come in and train the workers in order to reproduce the pieces again.
Yeah.
And, like, that's the kind of thing that you don't think about. Like when we have fires in these historic buildings,
Right.
and if we don't have someone who knows how to do it, we could lose that incredible history. So I do feel like, and I'm more of an optimist when it comes to things like this. I do feel like I'm seeing that again, that you're seeing small craft people, and the pop-ups of all these smaller, manufacturers and woodworkers and things in Brooklyn and Los Angeles. I'm like starting to see that again, and ceramicists. Like I'm seeing a whole bunch of ceramicists.
A lot of them.
again.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because we, obviously I was trained in the antique world, so I have deep respect for that.
Yeah.
That craftsmanship. And when we started the line, it was really important for us to build furniture that could last. That you could reupholster, you could refinish, but it's very important for us that the frame or the wood is has longevity, and because I think that's part of the charm of the furniture, and but same thing with the ceramics. And so it's interesting that you say that, because obviously I've always been a huge supporter of it, and the mass market here, which we won't name the few, was kind of depressing. It was depressing. I don't have, I look, for the money, I think that you can do a lot better.
Sure.
But it was also depressing because I think that it removed a lot of creativity, and even without an interior designer, people furnishing their home, and I'm like,
and they're wondering why it's falling apart.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and that's the other thing. We have to be more environmentally conscious. We can't buy these things that are not made well, and that we end up throwing into landfill.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother issue. But, I think that we're going to see a little bit of a backlash from this younger generation, mainly too because it's screen time, the amount of looking at the screens and looking at Instagram and internet and all of that, trying to find your pieces of furniture is not a great way to find furniture. Yeah. Like you could see something and you won't know what it scales like or what it's made of. You don't know anything of the craft about it unless you actually met the designer and you actually know about the piece. So it's really important to maintain these showrooms and these places where you can actually physically go and see things. And I really encourage my team to get away and get out there and touch and feel things, because when you actually see things, like even in High Point, we went to some manufacturers that Stickley Furniture still makes their craft with real wood and the way that they used to do it, like back in 1800s, and to actually see how they do their drawer systems and their joints of for the furnishings. It's actually amazing that they still do that, and it's important for us as creatives to tell people out there, to the masses, that this is important, because then your furniture will last, and it will not just hand it down, but you won't have to throw it away, you know?
Yeah. Definitely. The sustainability part of it is something that I think about quite a lot. And sometimes that'll leave me with like a piece that I don't really like. You ordered offline. Well, now I have to have it, because I don't want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that having that intentional, like buying for the purpose of keeping something for a long time, knowing that it's going to be well made, that it's something that you can hand down, to future generations, is something that's really valuable.
Yeah.
And I do believe that like a younger generation is sliding into that, because like we are also tired of cheap furniture.
They love vintage shopping. I freaking love that.
Love it.
Love
yes.
that. And then this whole reinvention of vintage, which is so fun.
Yes.
There's these designers that my friend Danielle in San Francisco reps their line, and they take old vintage clothes and then reinvent it. And so I have a lot of pieces from them that's super fun that way.
Fun.
Yeah. Like I have an old man's jacket, and they ripped the back of it and added feathers to it. So it's super, like, I almost wore it
really
today,
cool.
but like I didn't think we needed it today.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's like playing.
Yeah.
I have a pair of Wrangler jeans, and they're short men's Wrangler jeans, and then there's a beautiful fringe at the bottom, floral fringe, so it feminizes them,
Yeah.
So it's like that kind of stuff that I like to see, and my son and my and his roommates are doing a lot of that.
That's really cool. You have such a fun style. I like it.
So your son is also in the business, right?
Well, he's a senior at school, so he's finishing up product design, and so I'm not sure where that's going to take him. But what's great about his school, Otis, is that there's a lot of hands-on, and so they start him off by you sketch by hand first, and then you have to put it into computer, and then once you've developed one of the many sketches, you have to then figure out how to basically put it together. So they have to show all the components of the piece to show how it would be manufactured. Then they have to actually make it. And I think that's brilliant, And I don't know if all design schools, I didn't go to design school. I was a math engineer. But I love that. And I love that, the trial and error and figure it out,
Yeah.
As my friend Luis Pina said to Ryan, he was one of Ryan's my son's first intern was Luis Pina. And Luis called me up and he goes, well, your son's coming home with a cutting board. He did a beautiful mistake today.
I like that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, but you got to learn.
Yeah.
If you don't physically do it, you're not going to learn to do it right.
Oh, that's rad.
Yeah.
A beautiful mistake. Oh, cool.
Beautiful mistake.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we do have to get to a point where we're wrapping up a little
Okay.
bit. But there are 3 questions that I ask every one of our guests, and so I'm going to ask them of you. I haven't told you about them ahead of time.
No,
My apologies.
don't worry.
They're very easy. Just answer as honestly as you can.
Okay.
As honestly as you'd like to.
Okay.
Okay, so first question. What is the messiest place in your home?
My closet.
Yeah? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was not even
I don't have enough
hesitation
room.
there.
No pause.
Yeah.
no pause.
No, my closet.
Your closet.
Yeah.
It's just because I
can
imagine
close
you have
the door.
a ton of stuff.
I have I have too much. I have a shoe problem. Yeah.
What size do you have?
10.
Oh, so close.
Sorry.
So close. If you had said 9.5, I'd be like, well, I'm coming over later.
I used to have 9.5, but my arches dropped, so now I'm a size 10.
Oh, got
So
it.
if you got me
Yeah.
a few years back, you could have had some good shoes.
Shoot. Okay. Second question.
Yeah.
When you first walk into a space, whether it is a place that you're going to be working or it's like walking into a showroom, what is the first thing that you notice?
It varies. Sometimes it's the art, sometimes it's the lack of art, sometimes it's the lighting.
Okay.
So in a showroom, I usually am drawn to lighting first, furniture second. I hate to say that, but I think jewelry
Lighting
is
as
like,
in
yeah,
light fixtures or natural light?
light fixtures. I do pay attention to lighting of a space for sure. I don't know. I think every place is different. I have a reaction every time I walk into a space good or bad.
Yeah.
But I don't think I could pinpoint it to one element. But I get drawn in quickly. So like I'm more of like a, I like to scan the room, like to say, and then I kind of find my elements.
Got it.
But yeah.
I like it. Okay. Third question.
Yeah.
What is your favorite space, either in your house or that you've designed, or in a house that you've designed?
I would have to say my favorite space that I did design, and it's more because of the feeling of the house, is my house in Sonoma. It's, and not because I think it's the most beautifully designed. There's something very quiet, calming, and, almost spiritual about the space. We're on a hill.
Yeah.
And we're at the top of a hill surrounded by hills. So we call it that we have the golden hour. We have 3 sides are glass in the house. Wow. It's not an Eichler, but it's very Eichler-esque, built in 1964. The house sits in this place where it's like in a canyon, and the fog comes through the canyon in the morning and at night, and then we almost get dark before sunset, and the rest of the valley lights up. So it's just magical. And it's really because we're on a property that just feels sacred.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of my favorite spaces.
Sonoma is also known for being a very sacred space and for having its own.
I wouldn't be surprised if we're on some type of sacred place, because it has that feeling.
Yeah.
Like, it's always been a place that my friends go to. My friends are always like, we have every 4th of July there.
Wow.
And even during COVID, which was hilarious. I made everybody wear like screened faces. It's the funniest photos ever, but we still did it. I'm like, we're still doing it. I'm not canceling, and it's such a place that we create a family and a community. So it's important to me.
Wow. That's really beautiful.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. You have to show me pictures of that today.
Again, it's one of those places that if you saw it or went there, it'd feel very differently than the photos.
Okay.
The photos are fine.
That absolutely makes sense.
But really, literally, you walk in and it's
Oh, I love that. I love that. Tineke, you're amazing.
Thank you.
It was wonderful having you on here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
I like your view, and I like the way that you see the world, and the way that you use that view to create something that no one else could possibly create. So you're amazing.
Is there anything coming up that you want to talk about?
What's coming up? Well, some of these things are coming up. I just became a design icon for Luxe and Sub-Zero.
Wow.
So Sub-Zero, Wolf, and Cove. And so they picked 12 designers nationwide. It comes out, I think the campaign's coming out in the next issue, which is the 13th of this month, November. So I'm featured in that, one of my kitchens that I did for a client. And of course, it's all Sub-Zero, Wolf, and Cove.
Ooh,
so
nice.
That's fun. So that's coming up. I designed also on the appliance side for Blue Star. I designed their booth at KBiz. So I'm going to KBiz in Las Vegas, and we're going to do a book signing there, and that will and it'll be fun because I designed the booth, which will be
really cool.
Yeah. So that's fun.
Yeah.
So those things are coming up. Other than that, just living the dream.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks for showing up to the showroom.
Of course.
And for the DeSousa Hughes Showroom.
Yes, and my favorite.
It's gorgeous here.
Thank you.
We've had a wonderful time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right.